This is the network service of the NTA.
In April 1964, the Nigerian Air Force was established by an act of parliament to achieve a full complement to the defense structure of Nigeria.
I'm one of the pioneer pilots that was recruited into the Nigerian Air Force way back in 1962.
I was part of the pioneer people who came into Kaduna in 63 to start the Air Force.
It has since evolved under the leadership of 19 different foreign and indigenous service chiefs who have each made invaluable contributions to ensure that the service becomes, as it is today, a professional fighting force that is well respected both at home and abroad. To these our great forebears, we say a very big thank you on the occasion of 55 years anniversary. Today, the Nigerian Air Force celebrates the attainment of new heights 55 years after.
I think Nigerians have every reason to celebrate the Nigerian Air Force. Looking at where we are coming from, when the Air Force was established in 1964, barely 3 years after that, it was drawn into the Nigerian Civil War.
We were thrown into the war without any platforms that we would use to prosecute any war.
They collected their dynamites, came and crudely, using our own engineers, to package them with a fuse at the end of it.
And when they get to the location, they throw out the bombs from the cabin. That was the Air Force in the 60s. Today we have an Air Force that can project power not only within Nigeria but outside Nigeria. We have young officers that are handling unmanned aerial vehicle, controlling and carrying out offensive operations over 200 kilometers from where they are having the ground control station. That clearly shows that we have made substantial progress.
Over the 55 years of existence, the Nigerian Air Force has had its fair share of challenges. From its infancy with no combat aircraft, it projected air power during Nigeria's civil war and grew over the years with operations such as the religious crisis of the Metasini sect in Kano, the series of violent incursion into Nigeria by Chadian forces and armed rebels, the ECOMOG operations in Liberia and Sierra Leone, the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast, and the Nigerian Air Force has since been involved in a number of joint operations in different parts of the country. In particular, the efforts of the Nigerian Air Force were instrumental to the resolution of the crisis with the militants in the oil-rich Niger Delta under the Operation Restore Hope. At the time, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, then an Air Commodore, was the Air Component Commander and Commander Special Operations Group, Port Harcourt.
We participated in a number of operations, one of which was Operation Kuna, which was a joint operation between the Army and the Air Force in dealing with one militant group that was by Boni River and we were able to conduct a lot of so many sorts of offensive operations, which led to the surrender of the militant and his guys, and we brought them back. They were taken back, they came into the base, and from there we were able to sort them out, and that brought an end to the issue of kidnappings of foreign workers and so on. So the Air Force was actually on daily basis. And apart from that, I think there was a time also we had a situation where there was threats to one of the oil facilities right in the Atlantic. And the Nigerian Air Force played a very crucial role in sending the Mi-35 gunship, even though we didn't have the flotation system. But we were able to go right into the ocean, and our presence there actually deterred the militants who were not expecting that we would come after them, and that saved that facility.
The joint operation led to the level of stability in the Niger Delta region and subsequent amnesty programs of the federal government. The Nigerian Air Force recently projected air power beyond the shores of the country. Notable example is the deployment of the Nigerian Air Force fighter jets to the Gambia and the airlifting of Nigerian Army troops to the same country in 2017 to ensure the restoration of democracy in partial fulfillment of federal government foreign policy initiatives. In addition, other internal joint military operations the Nigerian Air Force have been involved in till date include Operation Delta Safe in the South-South, Operation White Stroke in the North Central, and Operation Safe Haven in Plateau and Kaduna states. The Nigerian Air Force has since been contributing immensely in the ongoing Operation Lafia Dole in the northeast, as well as operation in the northwest under Operation Sarandaji. Now 55, the Nigerian Air Force is reckoned with in Africa and globally for projecting air power beyond the shores of Nigeria in furtherance of national and regional security imperatives as the third arm of the Nigerian military. The Nigerian Air Force, under the current leadership of Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, the 20th Chief of the Air Staff, is driven by a vision to reposition the Nigerian Air Force into a highly professional and disciplined force through capacity building initiatives for effective, efficient, and timely employment of air power in response to Nigeria's national security imperatives.
I had a vision, and the vision was to reposition the Air Force into a professional and disciplined Air Force. Now, professionalism is not just about having platforms. It's not just about training pilots. It's not, but it's also about having the right structure. And that is why we realized that the former structure was not adequate for the kind of challenges we are facing.
Appreciate him with a round of applause.
The dogged determination of the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, to achieve this vision over the past 4 years has resulted in giant strides in operations and activities of the service.
The Nigerian Air Force has undergone what one can safely term as uncommon transformation, and this is owing to the visionary leadership of the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, who came on board with his dynamism and commitment and selflessness. And this has no doubt propelled the Nigerian Air Force into this current transformation that we are witnessing.
It is worthy to highlight some of the immense developments witnessed by the service over these years, and particularly in the past 4 years of the current federal government administration.
We realized that we needed to have a Special Operations Command, hence the establishment of an additional command, the Special Operations Command, and that command is charged with the responsibility of not only force protection, but also providing regiment personnel or special forces personnel that are adequately trained to be able to cope with the kind of internal security operations we are seeing. So the expansion was part of the desire to have a highly professional service.
And of course, while there is this kind of expansion, there is need to develop manpower to man those new units that have been created. And in this respect, we have tried our utmost best to ensure that, to a large extent, all these newly created units that came about as a consequence of the expansion are manned properly.
The Nigerian Air Force now has 10 staff branches at the headquarters and 6 field commands.
Because of this new command that we have created, we have established additional quick response groups. We have one in Owerri, we have one in Ipetu Ijesha, we have another one in Kerang, then of course we have another one in Gusau in Zamfara State. In addition to those groups, we have quick response wings. One is in Agatu in Benue State. We have another one in Gembu in Taraba State. And very soon we are going to activate one in Nasarawa State. Of course, we have also recently established a detachment in Birningwari in order to bring security closer to the people, in the sense that with these quick response units, we are able to support our sister services should there be need for us to deal with any internal security challenge within those areas.
The quick response group have been able to bring peace and succor to the community where they are established. We have been able to also combine with the surface forces to restore peace and normalcy in places like the North Central, that's the Operation White Stroke, and in the Northwest, we are involved in Operation Dira Mikia in conjunction with the Army. And also in those places like the Mambila Plateau, also we have brought peace to the community over there. The Agatu community are also a place that the quick response group has actually worked very well, and they have restored normalcy in those general areas.
The last 4 years, the aircraft inventory of the Nigerian Air Force has received a boost with the acquisition of new and more modern aircraft. The period has seen an unprecedented acquisition of platforms by the federal government.
We have made substantial progress here too, especially in the last few years. Of course, we have acquired platforms, quite a number of platforms in the 80s, such as the Alpha Jets and so on. But I think in the last 4 years or thereabout, the federal government, under the leadership of the President and Commander-in-Chief, President Muhammad Buhari, has paid special attention to acquiring platforms that are required to add value to what we are doing in terms of dealing with the challenges of internal security, not only in Nigeria, but indeed within the West African sub-region, as was the case when we deployed in Gambia, we deployed in Sierra Leone to support the Sierra Leonean people, and so on and so forth. Let me give you just some figures. In the last 3.5 years, we have acquired 10 Super Mishak trainer aircraft. That has increased our capacity to train by about 500% in Kaduna alone. We have also acquired 5 Mi-35Ms, brand new aircraft, in addition to 2 Bell 412 helicopters that were handed over to us by the federal government. So putting 10, 5, and 2 together, you are talking of 17 brand new aircraft into the system. Now, in addition to that, we have also been handed over 3 EC-135 helicopters, and through research and development, we have converted this essentially civil aircraft into a military aircraft that is doing a lot to keep to deal with the situation in the Northwest particularly. We have 3 EC-135, then we have 2 Dornier 228 aircraft that was handed over to the Air Force from the Immigration Service. And then, of course, we have 2 presidential aircraft, helicopters, the Augusta 101. These were handed over to the Air Force about 1.5 years ago, and we have utilized the aircraft in logistic movements and their movement liaisons and so on. Currently, we have one that is about to undergo major maintenance. So we have acquired 17 brand new. We have been handed over 7. And we are also expecting 12 Super Tucano aircraft from the United States of America. Production has started. Our officers are already in the US, supervising and looking at what is being done and so on. And we are also expecting 4 Agusta 109 power helicopters from Italy. 2 of these 4 are coming in before the end of April. And the President and Commander-in-Chief, by the special grace of God, will induct those 2 helicopters into the service. These are helicopter gunships, and they will, of course, add to what we are doing in Zamfara State. We are in the process of acquiring 3 JF-17 multi-role fighter aircraft from Pakistan. So if you put 12, 4, and 3, you are talking of 19 brand new aircraft.
In order to ensure that these aircraft remain available to conduct operations to accomplish the Nigerian Air Force mission, the service has in place a robust logistics support and maintenance system that has sustained platforms and equipment serviceability.
From records available, I've seen that he has trained well over 487 personnel, engineering and technicians, both on local courses and foreign courses. As I'm talking to you now, we have well about 35 to 40 engineering personnel outside the country, while close to about 200, 300 are attending various local courses, particularly at AFIT, and then we're into partnership with some institutions and organizations, Nigerian Toast Factory. In fact, at the moment now we have a company in Kaduna trying to have a look at our avionics Abu House Center with a view to training our boys on how to calibrate our tools and then enhance their proficiency in the engineering field.
This administration has increased the serviceability status of Nigerian Air Force aircraft from about 40% to an average of about 80% now.
The effective and robust logistics system has also seen the Nigerian Air Force achieve for the first time in its history multiple in-country periodic depot maintenance of its platforms.
A lot of efforts had been carried out and is still going on the conduct of periodic depot maintenance and life extension program on various NAV platforms. For instance, we have 3 Alpha jets currently undergoing PDM in KNG. We have 3 L39ZA aircraft currently undergoing PDM in Kano. We have 2 C-130 cruise aircraft undergoing PDM in Lagos. The Beechcraft fleet entirely has been maintained, serviced, and overhauled in Nigeria in country. Likewise, we have the life extension program that had been conducted and is still being conducted in Port Harcourt on the MI-35P fleet.
In line with one of the key drivers of the Chief of Air Staff's vision is prudent management of resources. And in this line, the procurement process has been improved and streamlined such that resources are very efficiently utilized. Many of the parts that were hitherto bought in limited quantities are now available to the NAV in sufficient quantity to maintain the aircraft. How was this done? Essentially, the Nigerian Air Force has tried to imbibe international best practices in the procurement process. We have groomed the procurement practitioners in the Air Force in these international best practices. We have held several consultations and seminars, workshops at the headquarters here, Nigerian Air Force. Also, the Chief of Air Staff last year approved a training package in the UK, and we have seen the result.
Prudence, transparency. It has helped to deliver projects. In all of this, we want to be grateful to the National Assembly committees on Air Force, both the upper and lower chambers, Chairman, and members of the two committees. And one of those agencies of government that has stood by us firmly is the Central Bank of Nigeria. In fact, the Central Bank governor sometimes is on first call basis with the chief in the interest of the nation.
As a way of reinforcing a culture of self-reliance, the Nigerian Air Force has intensified efforts in the area of research and development.
We have established an Air Force Research and Development Center, and we have very talented officers with first, second, and third degrees that are manning the center now. Right now, as I speak to you, they are on a visit to China, and we're trying to see what is it that we can get to collaborate and produce some of the other things that we require to make sure that our platforms are functioning.
We have MOUs with over 15 universities and higher institutions. With these MOUs, these universities have come in, and in collaboration with them, we've been able to build capacity. And as you know, one of the key drivers of the Chief of Air Staff is to build capacity. And he has done that consistently in the last 4 years.
So research and development is very, very critical to what we are doing. And I want to say that we are making substantial progress in so many areas. The electrolyte of one of our fighter aircrafts, we used to import this electrolyte from abroad. Today we are not importing, courtesy of our collaboration with the university, Department of Chemistry, that helped us to look at the electrolyte, and we are now able to produce it locally. And we no longer import hydraulic diaphragm for the MIs. We produce locally in Nigeria. If you look at the rocket shield, which is also produced locally in Kaduna, we used to import from outside. This has saved Nigeria a lot of money, simply because not only the money, the monetary aspect, but has helped us to also build capacity to be able to have confidence in ourselves that some of these things we can do.
One of the major achievements of Nigerian Air Force research and development efforts over the past 4 years is the induction of the indigenously produced operational unmanned aerial vehicle, the Segome, into the service in February 2018.
I request for a resounding round of applause for His Excellency.
We have produced it, but we need private sector to come in and take a look at what is there, invest, so that we can now have a production line that will provide not only employment, but provide our requirements in the Air Force as well as other agencies of government, such as immigration, such as NMPC.
The Nigerian Air Force has recorded several other research and development achievements in the last 4 years that has improved its service delivery. In line with global trends, the Nigerian Air Force has over the years since its inception developed its communications and information systems capability to meet operational requirements. The service has had to particularly scale up communications and information system support in the various operations that the Nigerian Air Force is involved in.
In the last 1 year, ISR, that is the intelligence, surveillance, and the reconnaissance platforms, have used information technology to be able to disseminate information to both the operators in the field and the strategists at the back end. The commanders are given direct information on what is happening on the field so that they can effectively control the activities that is happening on the ground. The intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance platforms, when they are overhead, they assist the ground forces in isolating and identifying the position of the enemy forces, the insurgents, when they are active. They equally assist the commanders to be aware of what is happening in the front so that they can effect changes on what is on the ground.
One of the major institutional framework established in this regard is the new state-of-the-art Geospatial Intelligence Data Center at the headquarters Nigerian Air Force Abuja. The GIDC would further enhance the ISR efforts in the northeast and other parts of Nigeria. The center, which is equipped with high-tech computer hardware and software, would improve Nigerian Air Force capacity for acquisition, exploitation, analysis, interpretation of imagery and geospatial information to provide actionable intelligence for the armed forces and other security agencies. In addition, at the headquarters Nigerian Air Force is a newly established Strategic Operations Center.
It's one of those landmark achievements of the Chief of the Air Staff, which is an expansion of the already existing operations room at headquarters Nigerian Air Force, but this time around has been souped up with additional computer, hard and software of high-end technology that is enabling the operations branch to coordinate air operations all over the country and then give the Chief of the Air Staff a first-hand feel of what is happening in the various theaters of operations in real time.
To ensure the personnel are medically fit to effectively carry out their statutory roles, medical services has been upgraded from a directorate to a full-fledged branch for the enhanced well-being of personnel and their families.
Before 2016, medical service existed as a directorate under the administration branch, and it was under this present leadership that the medical branch was established. The established indeed has seen a lot in all aspects of healthcare delivery in Nigerian Air Force. In the last 4 years, a number of new medical facilities have been established. A few others also upgraded to meet our healthcare needs. The NAV Reference Hospital Bauchi was established and provided with state-of-the-art facilities like a CT scan, and a digital X-ray machine, ultrasound machine, a mammography machine. In addition, the hospital has a fully functional dialysis center. Furthermore, the medical center in Barakot was upgraded to the status of a reference hospital. The infrastructure was improved upon, additional buildings were added, while the medical facilities were also improved upon. A new X-ray machine was provided for the center, in addition to a dialysis unit. The unit also has a 4D ultrasound machine, a very good laboratory, and also provision has been made for a CT scan machine. Within this period too, a new hospital, NAV Reference Hospital, was also established in Daura. The hospital will provide services in all the clinical specialties and will be equipped with the state-of-the-art facilities. The establishment of the Nigerian Air Force School of Medical Sciences and Aviation Medicine is one of the most remarkable achievements of the Chief of the Air Staff as regards medical healthcare delivery in the NAV. This is because the school would be expected to be a game changer. It will bridge manpower needs of the medical service and also improve on the quality of manpower. And in so doing, it will really address one of the critical needs of the service. The school has 3 colleges. That is the College of Medical and Dental Sciences, the College of Nursing and Midwifery, and then the College of Applied Medical Sciences. Right now, the College of Nursing is expected to start academic programs in the 3rd quarter of this year. And then the staff that are expected to work in the school have been trained and are awaiting deployment to the institution. One of the challenges we've had in meeting the expectations of our personnel and their families is in the area of manpower. And to address this challenge, the Chief of the Air Staff has in the past 4 years embarked on an aggressive policy. 54 doctors have been enlisted into the service with 9 consultants, and then almost 34 others in the various specialties of medical practice. In addition, 73 unestablished staffs nurses and midwives have also been employed and then deployed to the various medical facilities. The Chief of the Air Staff launched a program tagged Kick Cancer Out of Nerve Bases. This program was informed by his concern as regards the suffering of cancer patients, as well as the huge amount expended by the service in their care. Prevention of diseases is much cheaper than their cure. Consequently, the Chief embarked on a policy of establishing cancer screening centers and also providing opportunities for enlightenment about cancers. Now, these cancer screening centers, the newly established ones, are in Kaduna, Maiduguri, Bauchi, and then Makurdi. These centers are equipped with the state-of-the-art facilities.
As part of his corporate social responsibility and strategy to win the hearts and minds of the locals in conflict areas, the Nigerian Air Force in recent times invested heavily in a number of humanitarian intervention schemes, including but not limited to medical outreach programs across the country.
As students of military history, we are very familiar that you cannot win a counterinsurgency war without the support of the local community. The local community has a very crucial role to play in supporting our efforts to deal with insurgency, particularly the terrorist insurgency in the Northeast. And there's no way you can get the local community to be part of the process if you don't find a way of engaging them. You must find a way of winning their hearts and minds. You must convince them that you are there for their security, that you and them are working for the same purpose, which is to ensure a secured Northeast. So our strategy of fighting, we have the kinetic and then we have the non-kinetic side. The kinetic side, the bombs, the bullets, and the rounds will go. We'll continue to fight Boko Haram and other terrorist organizations or individuals. But also from the non-kinetic side, our desire is to win the hearts and minds of the communities we are fighting. It is so because it is true that they can really appreciate what you are doing. It is true that you can fight the propaganda that the terrorists are using, that the government is not interested in the villagers, in the community, in the people around, and so on and so forth. But if you see us providing medical services to you, that debunks, that claim that the government is not interested. We are not only fighting terrorists to stop them from killing our people, but we are providing medical services to our people to support them in IDP camps. And that's why we established the first level 2 hospital in IDP camp in Dalori in August 2015, a month after we came on board. And the whole idea is to endear ourselves to these communities. Yes, we are supposed to fight and protect you, but even if we are not there and you are now IDPs, we'll still be there to support you while fighting to make sure that you get back to your villages. And that actually is the reason why we came up with this soft power approach to dealing with this problem. And I can tell you that it is really helping.
Being mindful of the premise of the human being as an enabler and multiplier of other resources, the Nigerian Air Force has also focused on massive infrastructure development aimed at improving and sustaining the morale of the personnel and their families.
The human being is the most important resource. It's either we take care of the human being and give that human being what he requires in terms of his daily needs, or else we are not likely to get him or get her to work the way we want him or her to work. It's as simple as that. If you want to get things done, you can only get things done with human beings. And the environment a human being lives matters. It shapes his thinking. If you are not able to rest well after a hard day's work, chances are that by the following day you will not do a good job. And we have a very sophisticated equipment in our hands, given to us by Nigerians. That's the aircraft that we fly. If you are handing over a $33 or $35 million aircraft to an individual to fly, then you must be concerned about the state of mind of that individual. And the state of mind, for you to really be concerned about that, you have to look at where that individual is staying, how is he accommodated, is he getting his allowances as at when due, his office environment, does he have school for his children, does he have medical facilities that he can take his family members to.
To talk about accommodation sufficiency, it will be good for me to give a small background. The Air Force about 4 years ago was somewhere in the region of, let's say, about 10,000 people. And at that time, we had about 45% sufficiency of accommodation. But between 2015 and now, we've recruited close to 7,500 other ranks and about 800 direct short service officers, not to add the officers that have joined up from the Defense Academy. So what that means is that the Air Force has increased by almost 100% to close to 20,000. But even at that, accommodation sufficiency now is about between 65 and 70%. So what that means is that if we were at the previous population of the Air Force, we would have had excess accommodation.
In the last 4 years, new Nigerian Air Force schools have been established and old ones expanded and equipped across the country to improve the quality of education for the personnel families and the general public.
Within the past 3 going to 4 years, we've had additional secondary schools added to the list of schools we have in the Nigerian Air Force. For example, we have an Air Force secondary school now in Shasha. We have a boarding school now in Kaduna with infrastructure developed, in fact, second to none as far as Kaduna State is concerned. Then, of course, we have other innovations in terms of schooling, where you have the Air Force Girls Comprehensive School here in Abuja that was not existing 4 years ago. And then, of course, there are plans to convert the Air Force Comprehensive School in Makurdi and Port Harcourt to boarding schools also.
Furthermore, there has been significant development in the area of sport and recreational facilities in units across the country.
New gyms all over the Nigerian Air Force facilities across the country. You have gymnasiums in Maiduguri, gymnasiums in Makurdi, gymnasium in Kaduna, and all of those places. Again, that will help to keep personnel engaged, to exercise, to improve their well-being, and of course, somebody who is well exercised, who is healthy, that's also part of welfare.
Office accommodations have also been constructed at command and unit levels to meet the ongoing expansion of the service.
The NAV expanded tremendously in the last 4 years. We've added 2 commands. We've added several units: Sokoto, Monguno, Ikpetu Ijeja, Agatu, including Oweri, to mention a few. With this, it brought the need now to expand the infrastructure, build houses, offices, construct roads, provide water and electricity for all this. And in the last 4 years, by our estimate at the moment, over 900 projects have been executed.
The headquarters Nigerian Air Force building has, in the early stage of the current leadership, won a new look with glass finishing, and today has a complete new extension building, fully furnished to enhance service delivery.
Under the leadership of the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, the Nigerian Air Force has undergone some organizational restructuring, which has led to an expansion of the structure of both the headquarters and then the field commands. We've had an establishment of 2 additional branches. So with the creation of these 2 staff branches, we now have 10 staff branches at Headquarters Nigerian Air Force with their full complements of directorates. And so the erstwhile structure of the Headquarters Nigerian Air Force complex was not adequate to meet with the office requirements to cater for this number of offices. And so the Chief of the Air Staff authorized the construction of a new headquarters complex extension building, which is a 4-story building that has enough office accommodation. So 2 staff branches have been moved.
To maintain the integrity of the airspace, emphasis is geared towards enhanced professionalism of personnel. The regular and advanced training of pilots, engineers and technicians has reinforced the combat capability of the Nigerian Air Force, which accounts for the degradation of Boko Haram insurgency and other successful intervention in the past 4 years of the current leadership.
It is obvious there is consensus that the human being is the most important resource in every organization, but that human being can only be effective if he or she is trained, is given the required skills to be able to function. And we realize that we cannot succeed unless we are able to build capacity of our personnel. This is so because you cannot give what you don't have. And because of that, we came up with the idea of seeing how we can build capacity in all specialties. And let's start with pilots. We have winged 92 pilots. And right now, as I speak to you, we have 12 pilots that are training in South Africa, including a female officer. And I believe that that female officer, God willing, will be the first helicopter pilot in the service, in fact, in Nigeria. Similarly, we have 3 pilots that are training with the United States. Out of these 3, we have a female officer that is doing extremely well. This girl, I believe, will be the first fighter pilot in the Nigerian Air Force. I'm very, very excited to really have her back. In terms of pilots training, again, we have 102 pilots that are currently training in Nigeria in various schools. So if you put together the number of people that are training currently to become pilots, basic training, you have 117 pilots. We have trained 92 already. So, and with this number, I believe that especially with the kind of, the number of serviceable aircraft we have in Kaduna now, where we have the ab initio training, I believe that we should be able to deal or to supply or get the required number of pilots we want to have for the platforms that we are acquiring. Apart from pilots training, we have gone to many other areas. K9, we have gone into forensic training for air police. We are also training technicians, communication, and so many other people, running into thousands.
This office deals with approvals for study, that is courses, both military and those that are non-military, as well as the provisioning of ESTA code and so on and so forth. I can tell you that on a daily basis, people are leaving for training all specialties in all parts of the world. So what that means is that people are being better equipped to be able to even perform their roles better. And I think there's no welfare that you can give a man that is better than equipping him to be able to perform his job. So that's one key area. In fact, I make bold to say that in the history of the Air Force, there has been no time that people have enjoyed training, whether internally or externally, in the volumes that we have had in the last 4 years.
In 2015, the Nigerian Air Force, under the leadership of Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, took a bold step to initiate a training program in collaboration with the Israeli 4 Troops team and British Military Advisory Training Team to develop force protection and special forces capability suited for air row missions. The Special Operations Force, which is under the Directorate of Regiment, Headquarters Nigerian Air Force, was established to cope with the dynamism of emerging security threats, contemporary security challenges, base defense and protection of its air assets and critical installations. In the last 4 years of establishment, the Nigerian Air Force Special Operations Force are now notably contributing effectively to the ongoing military efforts to bring peace to the troubled parts of the country. This is in addition to bridging the gap between force projection and force protection with advanced Nigerian Air Force-based defense systems. The Special Operations Force unit was recently rebranded and given the name the Panthers, while being provided with new equipment, insignia, and equipped with modern kits and gadgets, as well as light armored fighting vehicle to enhance their effectiveness in the field.
Passengers start off a flight from Abuja to Benin, flight level 1.
The capacity building initiatives of the current Nigerian Air Force leadership was not limited to only male personnel, but also the female. There has been an increased number of recruitments which has cut across the sexes. Though the Armed Forces of Nigeria has always had some women in the 3 services who have participated in both internal and external military operations. However, their duties were mostly limited to non-combat roles such as medical, education and administration, where they serve as doctors, nurses and allied medical support services, as well as teachers, among others. Things have, however, changed since the incoming leadership of the Nigerian Air Force came on board 4 years ago. Within this period, the role of women in the Nigerian Air Force has become overwhelmingly evident, as women are today involved in combat operations, both as pilots and engineers.
What is important actually is not the gender. It's what you can bring on the table that matters. Whether you are male or female, it doesn't matter. What is important is what can you bring on the table, and that is our approach. We are a very gender-sensitive service. We give opportunities to everybody. Come and show us what you can do. For instance, there was a course that the best all-round or the best in flying was a female officer. There are peculiar challenges sometimes with female personnel, but that notwithstanding, I believe that everybody deserves a right to live his or her dreams and pursue those dreams with a view to seeing if they can actualize that. And that's why we have so many pilots in the presidential air fleet. We have female pilot that is doing excellently well. We have female engineers. We have armament officers, female officers and technicians. And you need to go to the Northeast. We have ISR people, 2 pilots that are flying in the Northeast, female pilots that are flying hours and hours trying to pick movement of terrorists. They are also contributing to defend their country, and every time you see them take off and land, you can see the excitement on their faces, that they have been given the opportunity to protect the values they hold so dear to their hearts, and they've been given the opportunity to protect their country. They can go back home and say, yes, today I went out to stop terrorists from killing innocent people. This is our outlook. Everybody should be given the opportunity, and we are doing that as much as possible, and that's why they are everywhere. It's not only air police, they are with the air police specialty. So many of them are in special forces units, and they are doing excellently well. Some of them came up with very excellent results during the last special forces graduation in Kaduna. I was there, and I took time to specially encourage them and make them to really work hard.
The Nigerian Air Force honors its fallen heroes with monuments by naming facilities and structures in their honor. These monuments are located across the Nigerian Air Force bases and formations.
The Nigerian Air Force has always had a history of remembering its fallen heroes and according them due honor for the services that they have rendered to our great nation. We do not take it lightly that, the sacrifices that they have made in service to this great land, keeping the nation one in various campaigns that have taken place right from the time of the Civil War to the campaigns during the ECOMOG operations in Liberia and Sierra Leone, the operations in the northeast against Chadian rebels, even in Mali, the operations that took place there, and of course the recent counterinsurgency operations and other operations that have been taking place within the country. In each of these campaigns, sadly, the Nigerian Air Force lost some personnel in active service, either conducting ground operations, and more especially, given that our realm of operation is the air, we have lost a number of pilots and air crew that partook in some of these operations. So in recognition of their service to our great nation, we make sure that we accord them the necessary honor. First, the headquarters Nigerian Air Force has a memorial arcade which has the names of 103 air crew members that have paid the supreme price in line of duty from 1964, when the Nigerian Air Force was established, up to the most recent one on the 2nd of January for the crew of the Mi-35M helicopter that crashed in Damasak on the 2nd of January 2019 this year. So the 103 of them, their names are boldly placed at headquarters Nigerian Air Force, and there is a memorial that runs mentioning their deeds and their names and the aircraft by which they passed on at that same memorial arcade. But aside from this, the Nigerian Air Force also always commemorates this, their sacrifice, and puts monuments that record what they have done in different units across the country, mostly the units where their aircraft operated, or the operational flying units where they have served. But aside from this, because we don't just remember the dead, we remember those that they have left behind. The Nigerian Air Force, just like the other services, in line with the harmonized terms and conditions of service, makes sure that all of the families of our deceased personnel, and especially those that died in active service, are given all their due. We provide all of the services that are required to provide for them, including all of their benefits. But aside from that, the Nigerian Air Force goes a step further in terms of taking care of their wives and especially their children.
Clearly, the achievements of the Nigerian Air Force under the leadership of Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar could not have been accomplished without the adequate support of the federal government.
I think we have been lucky to find an enabling environment under the leadership of the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, who has given us a strategic direction, who has drawn our attention to the fact that governance is about the people. It's about ensuring that people are secured, and that we must do everything humanly possible to ensure that our communities are secured. And whatever we have achieved in the last 4 years or thereabout is because the federal government has been extremely supportive. The National Assembly has been extremely supportive. And also, I must remember the officers and men of the Nigerian Air Force have demonstrated unparalleled commitment and diligence that is required for us to really move the Air Force to the level where it is today. I, as the Chief of the Air Staff or the branch chiefs, cannot on their own function without the support of thousands of officers, and we are extremely grateful, very grateful to the senior officers and the principal staff officers, commanders, especially the war commanders that have been there fighting day and night to ensure that Nigeria is secured.
As the Nigerian Air Force celebrates its 55 years anniversary, there is no doubt that it has attained new heights whilst becoming a professional and disciplined Air Force that is willing, able, and ready.